big homestand, starting with the Seattle Mariners at Truist Park.
Coverage starts tonight at 6, right after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch at 6:20 on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. ESPN, Northwest Florida.
WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe.
You gotta fight!
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Welcome to the house. It's time for the Afternoon Underdogs.
It's happening.
Wow.
It's on right now.
Opinionated and unfiltered. The hot takes, the rants, and the sports talk you crave.
Give it to me.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. It's 104.3 Panama City, 102.1 in Mariana, and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Caveman Rick.
Yo.
Our special guest, Gavin, and Bone Crushers with us on the ones and the twos. And first and foremost, I just got to give a big shout out to my guys, Nick, Gary, and Russ Waldrop, man. And also, none of this would have happened without Alan Watson, the owner of Golf Plus, but we were privy to be able to go out there and play some golf today at Bay Point, and you got to give a lot of love to everyone there who works at Bay Point because they had the course in phenomenal condition. No shout outs to Jay Henley because my shot was still in terrible condition, but no, I mean, they run a tournament the way that it's supposed to be ran, and then you had the hamburgers, the hot dogs. All of this was for Indus, which is for the Warrior Beach retreat here in Panama City, which was really awesome. My buddy Jonathan Cope got it started with a moment of prayer today, and that was really awesome, man. And just very thankful to Ryan Mulvey and Bay Point for putting the tournament on, Alan Watson and Golf Plus for putting our team in there, and then you show up to a golf tournament and you're playing with three guys that you've never met in your life before, and you have a great time. I think that's got a lot to say about first and foremost, Panama City.
Yeah,
you never know the people that you're going to run into here in Panama City.
Nice
Again,
day, too, by the way.
What a beautiful day. It started out a little bit more on the foggy side and then worked its way into...
When I went fishing this morning, it was a little bit foggy.
Catch anything?
A couple. I figured we talked to Tim about that here a little bit. But yeah, a few bites.
And let's talk to my buddy Gavin. So Gavin is with us here. You go to Palm Bay Prep Academy, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Gavin's been a big listener to the show, and as well as just this is maybe a career path for him in the future. So very thankful to have Gavin in the house with us. Gavin, what is your sport of choice? For playing wise, not for what you like to follow, but what do you like to play?
Honestly, for me, I'm a wrestler, dude. I mean, I've wrestled for 2 years. I wrestled in 7th grade and in 8th grade. So, I mean, I've wrestled for a while. So it's been an adventure in the wrestling world.
What grade are you in now? 9th grade. So you're going to be. Does Palm Bay have a wrestling team, or what's going to be the future for Gavin here?
I'm going to stay at Palm Bay. They don't have a wrestling team, but I'm going to be wrestling for Bay High next year. At least that's my plan anyway.
Oh, that's a good one, man. Coach Deaton does a great job. I mean, you saw Derek Williams. I know that I'm leaving other names out, but what goes on with that wrestling program at Bay? What goes on with wrestling in Bay County?
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm glad that you're a part of this, Gavin, and it's great to have you on the show too, man. What made you want to maybe get into radio, or why are you here today?
Well, I got to give my shout out to Amanda Muller because, of course, she actually helped me be here where I am today. I guess it started back whenever I first heard of ESPN, and I'm like, you know what? I may want to do that because, I mean, I know a lot about sports, and everyone I know, including my dad, he says I'm like a sports talk guy. Like, I talk about it a lot with him, especially the Braves.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're just red hot this season. So, I mean, a lot of people have just, like they've influenced me to do this, and they're like, you should totally do this. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a shot.
So being a Braves fan, what do you think about the Twitter world and them getting blasted here just recently?
Wait, what are we talking about?
You're talking about the Braves, right?
I know. What are they getting blasted for?
Yeah.
You guys don't know? You ain't seen nothing?
I don't know. I've been golfing all day, brother.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I was got to go to the Twitterverse to find out what in the world the Braves are getting blasted for
I've
lately.
been working on finals. I haven't had a chance to follow up on it.
Hey, there you go, man. He is doing his due diligence as a student athlete, and he's getting things done. But no, I haven't heard anything about the Braves getting blasted. I'm really curious now as to
I don't
what
have
that
them
is.
on Twitter at the moment, so I can't pull it up.
All
But
right.
I just heard that there's
another fallacy. 850-215-6290 is the number that you
fill
can
you
call or text. You can give Gavin a call here, and he'd be welcome to answer any of your questions about what's going on with your Atlanta Bravos and the Braves tonight. Right after the Afternoon Underdogs will be covered by ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starting at 6 o'clock. First pitch tonight at 6:20. Back home at Truist Field tonight, hosting the Seattle Mariners. It was a good win for the Braves, a good series for the Braves against the Texas Rangers, who are a good team. What's been the question mark for the Braves this year? Can you get it done against teams who are 500? How did you feel, Gavin, about that series against the Texas Rangers?
Well, I mean, Monday, the 12-0 win, I gotta say, that was a pretty good win that day. So I've seen a lot of Braves games. I've been to one in person, but I haven't seen a Braves game like that. I mean, they all just came out of the dugout swinging for the fences. Like, I even like how the announcer called it Orlando Arcia.
Yeah, Arcia.
That would be a good nickname.
That's like Jimmy Butler getting the kudos that he did from Kevin Harlan the other night when he said Jimmy freaking Butler. If you've got Harlan saying freaking in that sentence with your name, you're doing something good. And I mean, come on now, with Brandon Gaudin saying Orlando Arcia later, I don't think that it gets much better than that. Or if it was Ben Ingram or Joe Simpson or Jonathan Chadwick. No, I will say this, as a Braves fan, maybe this loses some of its luster, but there's not another broadcast out there that's better than the Atlanta Braves when it comes to radio or baseball on the radio.
Exactly,
man. My man Gavin knows what's going on here. What have you thought of Spencer Strider to this point in the year? I mean, the dude, it seems like he cannot not strike out anyone.
Exactly. I mean, the dude's just a beast. I mean, he's got a strong arm.
Yeah.
I mean, I have high hopes for him. I mean, he did really, really well that Wednesday game. So, I mean, I got high hopes for him this season.
Who's the guy that you look at when he's, playing for the Atlanta Braves, you're watching night in and night out, and you're just like, kind of like an old school fella, like, get off my lawn, get off of the Atlanta Braves. Who's the guy that you're ready to see leave the roster of the Atlanta Braves?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I'd like it if none of them left. I mean, they're all really good. They got a good lineup. But I'd have to say
Marcell Ozuna?
Marcell Ozuna.
See, and he's a guy, and I can totally understand where you're coming from on that, but he is a guy that's, started to turn it around. He's hitting closer to 200 now than what he was just 3 weeks ago. And so I think that there's some room to maneuver with Marcell Ozuna. And I'm right there with you. Outside of that, who else would you like to see the Atlanta Braves get rid of or part ways with? And I don't think that there's anyone else. And the Braves are just kind of maybe lucky or maybe just skilled that they've built the roster in such the way that they've built it. But you're looking at guys like Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies and everyone else that is a huge caliber but of young age. They've got them locked up for the foreseeable future. And we talked about who would you rather see kind of sink down the lineup, right, Gavin? Like, would it be Ronald Acuna Jr. or would it be Austin Riley? We're talking about two formidable talents for the Atlanta Braves, but who would be the guy that you would like to see sink down in the lineup?
Another one I'd probably do Eddie Rosario. I mean, I know not a lot of people may choose Eddie, but I mean, even though he may have had a cold start, he's turning it around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? It's always going to be unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen, especially in sports.
100%. Again, the Braves were off last night, but they play again tonight. They're hosting the Seattle Mariners, and that game will be at 6 o'clock. The coverage will start at 6 o'clock right here on our air, and the first pitch at 6:20.
So I was going to ask, what do you think of the Braves changing things up a little bit there by adding the Quikrete patch to the uniforms?
Oh, is that what they were trending on Twitter for?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a hard question for me to answer. I mean,
How do you feel about seeing professional sports in general with a advertising patch on any jersey? Forget it being the Braves or anything, but the fact that advertising patches are on these pro jerseys, and we all know that they get enough money there.
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of companies, like they... of course, they publish out like the company name, so people can know them and they can get like other customers. But I mean, I kind of like it, honestly, promoting your business. I mean, who knows? Maybe we should do it.
Hey, there you go. Gavin's about to be head of sales here at ESPN Northwest Florida. We're all going to come
Bust
into
out
work
the checkbook,
with
Randy.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the opposite, right? Like he's going to be getting a paycheck in for us just wearing some other businesses.
I thought he was meaning ESPN advertising like this radio station on the Braves jerseys. I thought that's what he was referring to.
Is that what you were referring to? Because I don't know if we can make that happen, Gavin.
I mean, if we can, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but
no doubt, I'm right there with you.
I mean, like locally, like on like the billboards, like maybe we could post like listen like 4 to 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
All that.
Look at my guy advertising for the Afternoon Underdogs. Gavin, what is it that got you into the sport of wrestling?
Well, I mean, one of my friends, William Lundgren, he wrestled. And he came, I believe it was third at state when I was in 6th grade, and he was like, "You should do wrestling." And I'm like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." So I went in to they were using the cafeteria at the time because the gym, of course, it was basketball season, so they were using it to practice. So I'm like, "Hey, can I try to wrestle?" And he was like, "Sure." So I try it, and I'm like, "You know what? I kind of like this."
Yeah.
So I did go to my first match, and of course, I lose, of course, because, I mean, it's my first year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everyone expects to lose in their first year. Their rookie year, like, they still have a lot to learn. Mm-hmm. So it was just a lot for me. But I liked it. I mean, I really, really liked it. It builds a lot of, how do I say this?
Character?
Character.
Will to win?
Yeah, friendships. You build relationship with your fellow wrestlers at times, and some of them you feel like they're almost your brother, almost.
Yeah, and that brotherhood, that kind of goes across sports. Even you could be in a locker room and you may not like the person who you share your locker with or who you're next to, but that is, highly irrelevant when it comes to, can we put all of that aside and just cohabitate or, be in the same quarters for a little while and we don't have to enjoy each other's presence, but let's respect each other's presence.
Exactly. That was one of the biggest things that my coach focused on: respect each other and treat each other like you would want to be treated.
Which weight class are you in right now?
Right now, I would be about 128, 130.
128, 130. That is not bad, man. And this is going to be your second year going
Third
in.
year.
Oh, this is going to be your third year.
Yeah, I wrestled
going into
in
it.
7th grade, which I believe it was the 98 weight class. Then the 106 weight class for 8th grade. So I've moved up a lot.
Wow, that's very impressive as well. Man, so what's been one of those things, like, what is your goal for 2023 as a wrestler?
I think one of my major goals, and of course probably everyone's goal, is probably to get out of districts and get to regionals, and get out of regionals, get to state, and of course win a state championship. I mean, of course, that's every kid's dream.
Right.
So, I mean, of course,
Any aspirations of using that to get like scholarship for college potentially or anything like that in the future?
And what do you want to do when you go to college? That's the big question, right?
I'm not thinking of college yet.
Amen, brother.
I don't even know yet.
Absolutely.
So, I'm only in 9th grade, so I'm thinking about it. One of the careers that I wrote down was actually being a sports broadcaster for the Braves, because I really like doing broadcasting and Braves. So, who knows?
Who knows, man? I mean, look at you. You're already sitting here on a radio talking about sports. So why could that not happen, man? You just hone into the Chip Carries, to the Brandon Gaudens of this world, man, and you can do anything that it's crazy to say. And we were fed this a lot, Caveman Rick, when we were growing up. Maybe more so myself than what you were, but you can do anything that you put your mind to.
That's what I was told my whole life.
Well, then
too,
good. We're in the same boat.
Yeah, everyone's told that whenever they're young.
Well, not everyone, though. And that's kind of the,
not everyone, but most people whenever they're young.
Well, there's that kind of like generational difference, and it really kind of starts with the age of people who are, at Caveman Rick's or myself's age, where that was when our parents sacrificed so much, and their parents and their grandparents sacrificed so much for us to be in this world today, where it really is reality that we can do anything that we want. And you have the drive, you have the knowledge, and so the only thing that's holding you back right now is just your age. So as if you keep on pressing on, you will not only be a great broadcaster, but you're going to be doing big things, and the future definitely holds that for you, Gavin.
And young people can even get their start early, like where RJ Starcevic, the NASCAR rider, started out like your age, He's
18 years old, and he comes on the radio with us every single week.
And he's been doing it for what? How many years now? Hasn't it been several? Like
he's 18 years old. He's been doing it for now, I think, since COVID, if not before COVID. So that would make it 3 or 4 years.
So basically about 15 years old.
And coming on to the radio with us is actually one of the lowlights of his week, outside of it being with the Afternoon Underdogs, which makes it a highlight for his week. But you know what I mean? Like he does so many things for himself and with his own company. And I can definitely see a guy like you, Gavin, making things happen in the future. And I'm very excited about your future, brother.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for it too. A lot of people get excited for their future. Of course, no one knows what it'll bring because, again, it's always unexpected. So you just gotta kind of go with the flow,
Yep, absolutely. I definitely know going with the flow.
Cool song too, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. Anytime you can get music incorporated, Caveman Rick would be excited about it. When it comes to the NBA, are you a hockey fan at all?
Not really.
All right, so what about basketball?
I follow basketball a little bit. So.
All right, well, let's stick with baseball then. Who do you think is going to be in the World Series taking on your Atlanta Braves this year?
That's going to be a hard one. I know the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays, they're doing really well. I believe they're like, 33-16, I want to say?
Somewhere around that area.
Yeah, somewhere around there. But, they've had a really good season so far.
No, they've had a great season. And that would be a dream World Series for me because I grew up down there in St. Pete, Tampa area, mainly St. Pete. And to see the Braves and the Rays for a World Series would be one where I'm 110% rooting for the Atlanta Braves. But if the Rays are getting some W's there, if they win the whole World Series, then it's one of those things like, hey, let's go Rays, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I also lived down in that Tampa area, after Hurricane Michael came through. So, I get it, and I went to a Rays game as well. So, if the Braves and Rays go against each other, it's going to be one heck of a World Series.
I 100% could not wait for a series like that. Who's your favorite player on the Atlanta Braves and why?
Does it have to be pitcher or batter or
your favorite player? Gavin's favorite player. That's the only thing that matters here.
I'd have to say Spencer Strider.
Spencer Strider.
He actually, you know what? Let's go Ronald Acuna. Ronald, he's just.
So Ronald as your favorite positional player.
And then Spencer as my favorite pitcher. Yeah.
There we go, man.
What about favorite non-Brave?
Fear not brave. That's gonna be okay. Dansby Swanson.
Oh,
not even a competition. Dansby
it's not
Swanson.
even a competition. Dansby Swanson, the former
Freeman,
Atlanta
The
Brave.
former Brave. Now, what would y'all think if he came back to the Braves?
He's not going to be coming back to the Atlanta Braves, at least for the foreseeable future. At least
not
for this contract.
Yeah, don't see not the contract that
not
he
the
has right now.
contract.
They're not going to pay him that.
But I mean, like,
and as
after
long
the
as he's
contract.
asking for big money, I mean, the Atlanta Braves are getting supreme production out of Orlando Arcia right now, and they're paying $2.5 million.
Yeah, the value that they're getting is pretty good.
around
Yeah.
21 something. But we've got to take a break. Hey, Gavin, thank you so much for stopping by,
Appreciate
man.
it.
It was a blast.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime y'all want me on to talk sports, I'm definitely available.
Let's go. That is Gavin, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got the Real Fishing Report coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Here comes the Thunder. The Atlanta Braves are back home at Truist Park for a long homestand. Tonight, the Braves take on the Seattle Mariners. Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, Ronald Acuna, and the Braves are bringing out the heavy lumber.
That ball is going to be out of here.
Coverage starts at 6, first pitch 6:20 on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday afternoon. The rest of the day, a likelihood of thunderstorms and mostly sunshine, and 82 with a gentle breeze coming out of the southwest around 9 miles per hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low near 73. Tomorrow, partly sunny and a high around 82. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
ESPN Northwest Florida advertisers get results. Here's MaxFit Sports Nutrition owner Jason Kovaleski.
So if you're looking to advertise, or if you have a small business and you're looking to drive traffic to your store, check out ESPN 104.3 with Coach James Hale Show. I've been working with them for 7 years. They've driven a lot of traffic to my business. I get people all the time in my store that say, hey, I've heard you're on the radio. It's one thing to advertise on the radio where people may hear it. It's another thing to be able to come on, talk to your customers directly. It's just one of the best form of advertisements I did, and I've gotten great returns off of it. So if you're looking for some form of advertisement to drive traffic, check out Coach Hale Show on ESPN. Contact Coach Hale, and he'll hook you up and get you started in the right direction and get you a lot more business.
Get results for your business. Call ESPN Northwest Florida. 850-215-4468. 850-215-4468.
The road is yours this summer in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Stop by and check out the Bill Bird Kia SUV family that is built for all-in adventures and endless possibilities. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 3.25% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort and safety and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind that you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $22.22 per month per 1,000 finance at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 7/5/23.
The Real Fishing Report. It's expert insider information from Tim at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. What's biting? What bait to use? Where to cast? And now, the Real Fishing Report. On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest. This is David, y'all. It's ESPN Northwest Florida. You're riding with the Afternoon
Coming back
Underdogs.
from a Western.
I was trying to ride the wave of the song right there, and it just didn't work out.
Like when you try to run on the treadmill to the rhythm of the song, and it's just, you're like,
I'm falling at that point.
Like, I can't get this thing right.
No, I'm just hanging on over there at Planet Fitness or wherever I'm at, just like, oh, someone stop this thing, man. My toes are getting burnt at this point. But we've got Tim Braddock with Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. We've got Ryder with Schilling Fishing Company, and I'll let Tim tell us a little bit more about that. But as always, on Fridays, right here, 420, The Real Fishing Report with Tim Braddock and Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. What's going on, Timbo?
Oh, just enjoying my cold Dr. Pepper.
There you go.
Shout out Buffalo Rock, baby.
Buffalo Rock. After that long drive, Pier Park, the traffic's starting to get pretty thick. It was pretty thick all the way from 79.
A lot of Jeeps, I bet.
There were a few, not as many as I was expecting, though. That we actually were commenting on that. And but yeah, you're starting to see more and more Jeeps show up, which is good. I mean, they've come by the shop this week too while they've been in town. And it's always good to see our Jeep brethren. My store manager, Stan, has a Jeep, so...
does he got a duck somewhere in there?
He's got more ducks than you can count.
I'm still ready to hear a story on why Jeep owners have so many ducks
there's maybe the Instagram crowd. Why do Jeep owners
I can tell you,
have ducks?
I worked for a Dodge dealer, so there's on some of the parts on Jeeps, there is like a duck logo.
Like rubber ducks?
There's actually like an image of a duck, like a silhouette. And so because of that, that's why everybody has it. Me, like I said, working at a Dodge dealership, it's kind of annoying because a lot of people think they're cute and they got them like all over cars.
Right? The little rubber duckies are cute, buddy?
Like few and far between. There's a few that I've seen that were done the right way that actually like kind of neat, but for the most part, I think they're kind of tacky, you know. But that's just me. If you got Jeeps out there and people that got them, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make anybody upset. It's just do your own thing. Don't be a follower.
We're not happy listening. Not disgruntled listening. Yeah, let's talk about fishing. You can fit as many fishing rods as you want in the back of that Jeep, right?
Amen,
you can go.
Get a permit for that Jeep to get it on the beach.
There you go.
Make it easy to get down to your fishing spots.
That'd be nice to get on and off, do a little bit of surf fishing straight off the back of your Jeep. We have quite a few customers that do that down in Grayton. I say quite a few, good handful of guys have the beach permit. They drive straight on the beach.
That's a nice surf fishing cart when you can use a Jeep like that and bring your gear right
you don't
down
have to worry
the
about
water.
You don't got to worry about them wheels.
4-wheel drive, baby.
So let's
But Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle's got some great carts that will help
we got some great carts. The ones that are designed to go on the beach, big orange tires. We carried 110 quart cooler loaded down with beverages, ice cold beverages of
lots of
various
water.
flavors. Lots of Dasani water. You're right. And so let's get straight to the fish report. Guest today here to my right is Mr. Ryder Schilling. Ryder works at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle.
Let's go.
He's been there just over a year, and has, he's still in high school, but his school schedule allows him to be able to come work inside the shop. A couple things about Ryder.
Exactly.
I'll let him give you a kind of an introduction, and we'll get into some more detail here in a minute. Ryder's main focus is going to be in the freshwater side.
Okay.
Which is something completely different than the majority of our shop, right?
Right.
And but Ryder fishes the high school bass circuit, and he also makes the custom jigs that we have here in studio today. And you can see the Bay Breeze custom jigs.
Very nice looking, by the way.
They're very well made.
A lot in my life, and this is nice, especially made by a young man here in town. This is definitely something you might want to go and get.
Go buy and get one, definitely. And so, Ryder, why don't you tell the folks real quick what your name is, where you're from, and then give us a quick update on your last tournament event that you fished.
Of course. So my name is Ryder Schilling. As you know, I'm originally from Illinois, so bass fishing was my thing. I fished lakes and ponds anywhere near me. And then I moved down here about a year and a half ago, down to Inland Beach. And then I started working at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, which is super convenient. I meet people every day. It's an awesome experience. So I fished the Florida Bass Nation High School Series. So I fish all throughout Florida, a little bit of Georgia, Lake Seminole, so it's kind of on the border. I've fished Lake Seminole and St. John so far. We've placed 37 overall in I believe it's 160 team field. And then we qualified for state this year.
Let's go.
That will be in a couple weeks on Harris Chain in Leesburg, Florida. So it's a little bit south Florida. It's about 6 hours.
Is it just one-day tournaments you guys are doing? Is it a couple of days?
It's one-day tournaments, but depending on the trail you fish, you'll fish either Saturday or Sunday. So it's just on a weekend about every month. I fish the one day.
And then when you guys placed at 37th, what kind of wage you guys pull in?
So we've placed 20th in 2 tournaments. That was our first and last. But that place is 37th overall in all 4 tournaments that we fished. Okay. So that qualified us for state. So then in state, if you qualify high, or place high enough in the tournament, you'll go to nationals, which is like the, what would you call it, the finals of high school.
Like the World
Series. Like Bassmaster Elite, like the Bassmaster Classic.
Yep, that's what
we had Drew Benton on the line with us. Just not probably 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No,
exactly.
Weeks ago, but it was right after he actually finished 3rd in the Bassmaster Classic, and then just 2 weeks later, he ended up winning the next tournament that he was in. Are you allowed to use Chilling Fishing Co. baits while you're fishing in a tournament like that? I find that awesome, man.
Of course. So you can make any of your own rigs, but obviously they have rules, so you can't. In our tournament, you can use an Alabama rig, so it has like 6 hooks on it. It's like
looks like an umbrella.
Looks like an umbrella. And it's got a bunch of swim baits on it. But in the pro tournaments that Drew Benton fishes in, you can't use that kind of stuff. So there are some limitations, but you can use anything you want.
That I just find it so cool that you can make your own bait and fish in a high school tournament.
What about electronics? Do they have any like limitations on that? Because the technology with the the forward facing sonar and all that's just getting crazy out there.
You can use any electronic. On a horsepower motor, you can only use up to 250. That's really the only boat limitation that there is. You could use a single council bay boat.
So you can still get a nice boat, get a good hole shot, and shoot the hole.
I mean, you'll go 80 in those. Oh my, your hair's pulling back.
Right.
Wow. So what made you want to get into making your own baits?
So it originally started with my uncle. He started making jigs with some of his friends, and he showed me how to do it. This was just like last Christmas. And I'm like, I should start doing this. I was seeing doing customs and stuff. I mean, you can really go anywhere when you make your own stuff.
Smelting your own like lead to make the heads?
So I actually don't make the heads, but I do take all the parts. It's completely custom made. I trim all the skirts. I put a little band over the weed guard so it stays in place.
Right.
So it's complete. You could take that out of the package right now and fish it and catch 20 fish, good. And it'll still be in perfect shape.
Right.
And if you have any problems, you can send it back. It's an automatic refund.
Tim,
what it is.
Tim, would you say that that's one of the things in the world of making baits is setting the way that you make your bait or your lure or whatever it is apart from others? Because we had the Sputnik.
Yeah, so, I mean, we go out and look for those products that people who actually fish use in the field.
Right.
Right? And so, and even more specific for this area, right? What you may see in a shop that's over in Gulf Shores, Alabama, is not necessarily what you're going to see in a shop maybe in the Panhandle of Florida, anywhere in Pensacola, even all the way over to Port St. Joe. And so there are techniques that are the same or principles that are the same, but you'll notice sometimes a modification in fishing, and it's often correlated with the fishing style, right? Like how that individual's being taught how to fish. Right, I tend to like some of these guys like a very loose drag when they're surf fishing, and they like a lot of slack in the rod, and that's how they're used to fishing. And so when that happens, they tend to use a lighter fluorocarbon in their leader material. And I tend to like a heavier fluoro, like a 30-pound, and I like my drag tight. I like to see that rod tip pointed forward. I personally feel that it gives a better hook set with circle hooks. And so there's a lot of different nuances with how somebody is fishing being paired with what type of jig or what type of rig they are using. And so that's a very good point to bring up, on the baits that we have in shop that are handmade. So let's talk a little bit with Ryder. There are a lot of youth that come in and through the shop, particularly that want to fish. They want to get sponsorships, I have people that come in the shop looking for sponsorship. And so I want to take just a minute or two and talk to Ryder about kind of how you got into high school bass fishing. And I think that's important because there are a few schools around here that have bass clubs, high school bass clubs. Ryder, in this instance, is homeschooled. And so sometimes people look at that and go, well, you don't have the advantage of having any clubs. Well, Ryder didn't need the club. And so I think it's important to note, Ryder, why don't you give the listening audience like a minute overview of kind of how you got into high school bass fishing for those that may be interested in it?
Of course. So, I mean, starting by like for me, is working in a bait shop. So just getting the connections, just talking to other people about fishing. That's the best way to learn how to fish.
Bait and tackle.
Exactly.
Amen.
Yeah. If you learn how to fish, that's the number. You can't fish without knowing how to fish. So obviously learn how to fish. For me, when COVID hit, it was a lot of YouTube videos. Just YouTube videos all day long, as much as I could. That's where I learned the majority of my stuff. And then when I moved down here, the first thing you want to do is get into a club. That's going to be your best way to get into a tournament. Emerald Coast Youth Bassmasters is the one I'm in. It's right in this area. And that's so it doesn't go through high school for this tournament series, at least. So it's a lot easier just to go through a club. They're more spread out.
How many? Do you have an idea of how many clubs we might have here in Panama City or the Northwest Florida area?
So around here, there's only a couple. The one I joined is about an hour from here, and I think that's really the only one that we could find. But it's few and far between here. It isn't real bass country like
they do those tournaments. I believe still maybe on Friday afternoon evenings over at Deer Point. There's small like few hour tournaments. So if you want to kind of get into that too. Exactly. That might be something small where a young kid or with his dad or uncle or something could go get a little start, get a feel for it, understanding how the tournament kind of thing works, and see if it's something that they're good at and they like.
Well, I think too it's important to note when we're saying bass, particularly today, there's bass as in the species of fish, right? But then there's bass as in the organization.
Yep.
Yeah. Bassmaster.
And so often what we're referring to is the actual endorsed bass events. And we were fortunate enough to meet the regional VP at a show over in Orange Beach. And he's based here out of Northwest Florida. And he took over last year. He's doing a very diligent or dedicated effort to try to expand both the high school programs at the local high schools as well as some of these other local chapters. So, and again, the same thing, a high school team is affiliated, right, with that local chapter as well. And then they'll have a divisional leader that's over them. And so, we'll probably spend some time. We'll probably just do a full segment on it, but on how those divisions break down, and it's an area I believe that there's an opportunity for a lot of growth here in Northwest.
No doubt, and you're very fortunate too, because when I was in high school, if they would have had something like that going on, I definitely would have been a part of it.
It's grown a lot,
and they didn't have that when I was in high school, 25, 30 years ago. So
I mean, we were talking about this on the way here. Probably the premier bass fishing program as far as college athletics goes is located in Auburn, Alabama. And so, that's a probably a great point, a great area for us to look at developing out here in Northwest Florida. These getting youth involved in the bass programs.
Yes.
And so, but Ryder's done that, and a lot of that I kind of want to bring to the forefront is due to his drive. Like he's determined. Yeah. And if anybody asks me, again, I see it kind of from a 30,000-foot view, right?
Right.
Whereas somebody that's trying to get it, man, they're just going. They're looking for individual sponsors. I'm sitting here watching the whole picture.
Yeah.
And
like a drone.
Exactly, like a drone. And what I see is those that succeed just have that determination.
Yeah.
And
real quick, you moved down here, and us talking before, did you mention you specifically, your folks, and you guys moved down here because of your fishing, because they wanted to kind of help you out, help your fishing grow, because it's, obviously fishing capital of the world, Florida, as opposed to Illinois? Was that?
It wasn't the main goal, but it definitely was a plus. In Illinois, there isn't as many opportunities.
Definitely pretty cool, though. Your family can do something cool like that.
Back
try to help you out.
What you're saying about sponsors, and back to what I was saying earlier on how to get in. Don't go looking for sponsors. I tried that. It doesn't work. I really tried.
Good advice about the follow right here.
Exactly.
Listen up.
like just working at a bait shop, just showing up every day and just being there. I met Angie Thompson, and she was on here earlier, and she's a good friend. She helped me with a lot. And just meeting other people is
plus,
the best
if you're in
way.
those tournaments and you place and you do well, they're going to come, looking for you.
Yeah, exactly. If you just fish, they're going to come to you. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued here.
Yeah, so we're pushing up against a little bit of time. So very quickly, let's talk about the weather that's coming in this weekend, and we're looking forward to having great weather. So the seas are going to be calm. That'll give opportunity for people to get offshore. I personally went out offshore at the beginning of this week and had a great Monday. And not a bad way to start a Monday off, right?
Amen.
And got an invite to go tarpon fishing, and had a couple buddies that went down towards St. Joe. I wasn't able to attend, but I got a great report from them. And they took them about 2.5 hours, but they found the fish. And
kept them in the water, right?
Kept them in the water.
There you go. Yeah.
And
I've been learning, Tim.
There you go.
Learning.
On those tarpon, make sure they stay in the water. And had a good time fishing down towards the east of Panama City. And then we also just getting great reports of some of my captains that run out of Destin have had a great week just catching wahoo, mahi, and we're starting to see that kind of that summertime fishing pattern take off. This has been that first big week, I would consider it. And so fishing's looking good over the next few days. This weekend's looking great. And then, we don't talk about bass fishing a whole lot on this show because so much of it is centered around saltwater in this area. Yeah. And a lot of the product makeup in our shop is that way. And but Ryder's a great resource if you're in on the west end of Panama City Beach. We if somebody comes in, we'll start talking bass fishing specifically, and Ryder's in shop. We tend to kind of point them his direction. And so myself, Stan, or Zach can talk about it. Now, that's an interesting dynamic in our shop, though. And Zach is one of our other employees. Zach's from Georgia, loves to bass fish, lives in the same neighborhood that Ryder lives in.
Let's go.
And,
yeah, exactly.
And they have a little competition. We have we have a group. We have a group text message, right?
Oh, I can only imagine how much fun that is.
The jawing gets to going, and mine's big. My fish is bigger than yours, and so
pictures don't always settle that.
Oh, no.
But you can always make them look like it, though.
Yeah, matter of fact, pictures have caused more argument than have settled anything.
Well, you hold that thing nice and close to the camera. That thing looks pretty daggone big.
Angle, your arm can only go so far.
Right. Got the blocked elbow syndrome going on.
Exactly.
Take pictures of those fish. And so looks like we're right up against time, but let's talk real quick about the jig. We carry these in 3 colors. So why don't you give a quick rundown of the 3 different colors we carry in stock?
So we have a Bay Breeze custom. I'll only be doing those a couple times. So if you do want them, stop by Bay Breeze. We have about 30 of them in shop right now. A little less now, but then we have a green and a black and blue. Those are 2 top colors in bass fishing, hands down. On the green, a lot of people put orange in them. I didn't put any orange because the bass down here, they get a lot more sun. So they're going to be a lot darker, a lot more purple and blue. So I only put that in it along with the green.
Right on.
And then black and blue, a lot of companies put a lot of black in it. I put more blue in it just to make it stand out because a lot of people fish it in muddy water.
Yeah.
So you want it to pop out. And then we have 2 sizes as well. We have 3/8 and 5/16, depending on where you want to fish it. And
or like if you got to get it through some cover or something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly.
So real quick too, I grabbed my KVD bait caster and I'm heading out this weekend. Not the exact location, but where am I going to catch those fish in a pond or a lake?
They're going to be shallow.
Okay.
They're going to be more shallow.
No top water. Don't worry about top water right now.
Well, that's actually they're up shallow, but they just spawned. So they're going to be garden fry or the baby bass or whatever. So they're going to be very protected.
aggressive.
So top water, busting right across the top, especially a head and zare spook, anything like that, frog. It's always going to be one of the top baits to throw this time of year.
Tim, we need to have him on when I can get you guys to do 2 segments, and we'll do a whole, saltwater, 420, the Real Fishing Report, and then get a little bit into, because I would love to talk a little bit more about how they run in the creek, because I was out there paddleboarding at Blue Springs.
Right.
Them suckers were
so
daggum big.
Water's too clear.
Exactly.
Oh, brother.
I have personally seen a friend pull a 12-pounder out, and there was no photo tricks up there in Ponce de Leon.
No.
I mean, he was a golly whopper.
I'm
talking a hole.
I was mad that my pole was still at the house, and I knew I wasn't going to catch him anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, man. But we are out of time for today, but I would love to have you back, Ryder, again, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for the lure. Definitely try it out.
Yes, no doubt. Tim Braddock and the Real Fishing Report with Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle is with us every Friday at 4:20. If you guys got any questions and you send them when he's not here, I will shoot those directly to Tim. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We'll be right back with our traffic jam and trivia.
West Florida is already your home for the most live and local sports talk. And now we're taking...
Oh, he got all of that one.
The Inside Drive. Ryan Mulvey, middays, 11 to 1 inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. The latest reactions to the biggest stories happening right now. Plus, interviews, sports betting, and your calls.
You got to be pleased with that.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday afternoon. The rest of the day, a likelihood of thunderstorms and mostly sunshine, and 82 with a gentle breeze coming out of the southwest around 9 miles per hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low near 73. Tomorrow, partly sunny and a high around 82. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Hi, this is Matt Lewis with Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. We offer comprehensive diagnostics and repair service for all types of hydraulic units, such as hydraulic and pneumatic cylinders, hydraulic pumps, motors, and valves, as well as a broad range of hydraulic hoses and O-rings. Give us a call at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions at 850-326-3000 for any of your hydraulic needs. Or come see us on Commercial Drive off Jinx Avenue in Panama City.
The Braves are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they're showing the National League that they are a force to be reckoned with.
2-2 pitch. And there's a bullet out to center field. Down for a base hit. Here comes Eddie. Braves win it!
Tonight, Ronald Acuna and the Braves are back home for a big homestand, starting with the Seattle Mariners at Truist Park.
Coverage starts tonight at 6, right after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch at 6:20 on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
At 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Want to remind you guys that we've got 3 phenomenal local shows right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, kicking it off every Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. The Coach James Hill Show with Coach James Hill. And the Inside Drive starts at 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley, and then we wrap your afternoons up right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, the Afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. And now on the line with us, we've got a talent from the Motor Racing Network, Kurt Becker, on the line with us. Kurt, how's it going?
We do not have Kurt on the phone. I thought we were going to Traffic Jam and Trivia. And are we doing Kurt at 5:40?
Did I write 5:40?
Yes, that's 5:40.
That is a
Let's get Kurt on the
terrible mistake then.
Stand by.
How about we do this, BC? Why don't we just see if we can pull him over for the next segment? So we'll just hold it on. You know what? You do what you think.
I'll get the guy on.
Is best. That is
Stand
my
by,
fault.
NASCAR fans.
Yeah, no doubt. Stand by, NASCAR fans. It's been a heck of a day right here with ESPN Northwest Florida, and want to remind you guys that the Atlanta Braves are coming through your speakers tonight. Coverage starting at 6 o'clock, and first pitch tonight at 6:20. The Atlanta Braves are sponsored locally by Best Way Portable Buildings, Dave & Buster's, PCB Hobby, and Gulf Coast Aquarium. So, Caveman Rick, last night, and I'm sure that we're going to be jumping back into this after we get done talking a little NASCAR with Kurt Becker, but 4 overtimes in a game one in the Stanley Cup playoffs. How special is that?
It's pretty impressive. I believe, what is it? They said the 6th longest game, I believe, in NHL history. So that's a pretty impressive feat. It was 12.7 seconds, I believe, away from exiting that 4th period and going into the 5th overtime period, which, man, that'd just be nuts. I was fortunate enough to watch the Philadelphia Flyers play a 5 overtime game against the Pittsburgh Penguins back in 2000, and that was a pretty impressive game as well. But one thing I want to say about this game from yesterday or last night is the lack of attention that I've seen it getting nationally.
What did you see?
Especially like across, like, you know, like across like the mothership. I got up this morning, I turned on, ESPN, Get Up was on, and they were just talking all basketball, no football, no nothing else. From what I've seen, no, not even a mention of, the game last night. Then, Sports Center comes on, and a very little weak mention at the very start of the show that they were going to talk about it later. They go right into not even the basketball game from last night. They went into the game that was coming on tonight, followed by last night's game, and then following that up with the PGA Championship talk. All, rightfully so, important stuff, in the right mind, but nothing as historic as what happened last night. So I thought, it should have got a little bit more love. And like I had mentioned to you off the air before the show, had the NHL had a game last night that might have set a record for penalty minutes or something nasty might have happened.
Yeah.
They probably would have spent 20 minutes on the negativity.
Yeah, they love to do that when it comes to the world of hockey. But let's get to the world of NASCAR. We've got Kurt Becker on the line with the Motor Racing Network. Kurt, how's it going? Thanks so much for giving us some of your time. Sorry that we were a little bit late there. We ran past with our fishing report.
I totally understand. No problem at all. It's good to be on with you.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit, for me and Caveman Rick, we're kind of new to the whole NASCAR gig. Tell us how important and how special the North Wilkesboro track is to the sport of NASCAR.
Well, it's a track that was part of NASCAR's inaugural season going back to the late 1940s. The track was actually carved out in the 1946 to 47 era, and then was part of the NASCAR original schedule beginning around 1948. It means a lot to those of us at the Motor Racing Network because the late Barney Hall, who was our anchorman for many, many years, Barney grew up about 12 miles from North Wilkesboro, and even though Barney's gone now, I know that hearing him tell stories about, he would talk about as a kid crawling up into a tree that overlooked the speedway just so he could watch the races because he didn't have the money to get into the speedway. So for a lot of us, it has a lot of tradition. And, we haven't raced there in 27 years. I guess it might be like if you shut down a Fenway Park or a Wrigley Field in baseball terms, didn't play a game there in nearly 3 decades, and then you found out, guess what, we're going to go back and play baseball there again. It's kind of a similar thing with North Wilkesboro.
Do you think this is a one-year type of thing, and it's just for the All-Star race, or if they get a good showing or a good consumerism, if you will, a good amount of tails in the seats, do you think that this could become a more normal thing, maybe once every 4 years, once every year? What's the future looking like for North Wilkesboro?
Well, I think all options are on the table, and North Wilkesboro is part of the Speedway Motorsports owned group of racetracks, and their CEO is Marcus Smith. And his late father was one of the most innovative, energetic racetrack executives. Bruton Smith in the history of the sport. In fact, Bruton was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. And Marcus, Marcus has always been, I don't know him personally, but the perception was always that Marcus was just kind of a quiet, laid-back guy. And there were folks who were even skeptical if he would want to take over when his father passed. Turns out Marcus has fully embraced his role. Marcus has been the key player in investing in North Wilkesboro, renovating it, bringing it back to life. I think with Marcus Smith and the group at Speedway Motorsports, all options are on the table. And I think it does, it just depends. If it's a good race, I think they're going to have plenty of people in the stands. They've got a huge crowd there for practice today. So I think so far so good, and I think anything's possible as far as going back in the future.
Hey, Kurt, this is K-Van Rick. Thanks for sharing some of your time with us today. Being that they're bringing North Wilkesboro back, and it's been 26, 27 years now, and none of the racers that currently race on the circuit now have, I'm sure, raced any, in a championship or a serious race. Who do you think has an advantage racing on that track now?
Well, you bring up a great point. In fact, think about the fact that NASCAR hasn't raced at North Wilkesboro since 1996, and so many of the drivers who are in the field this weekend weren't even alive the last time we raced there. Now, here's the curious thing about it. To your question, one of those very drivers who wasn't even born yet back in 1996, William Byron, who drives for Hendrick Motorsports, he was one of the fastest cars today in the practice session. I think that what I'm hearing is this. Drivers who have a lot of experience on short tracks, whether it's a paved racetrack like North Wilkesboro or whether they grew up racing dirt short tracks, if you've got experience, keep in mind when we say short track, this is a track that's just a little over a half mile in circumference. It's about 0.6 of a mile. And the general sentiment is if you've got a lot of experience racing on short tracks in any form of motorsports, I don't care if it's sprint cars, midget cars, dirt, asphalt, late model, super late model, you're going to do pretty well. William Byron's a great example. He's never been to North Wilkesboro before, a lot of short track experience, got a great team behind him. Here's the other thing, guys. Counterintuitive, you're going to have to go slow to go fast. And what that means is drivers who have a lot of finesse, who kind of feather the throttle and take it easy on the equipment, will probably exceed this weekend. Drivers that are hard chargers and want to leave every lap, not so much, because tires are so important. This is an old racing surface. They haven't repaved this track since 1981. That means an abrasive surface that's tough on tires. It'll chew up tires fast. You only get one set of new tires for the final 100 laps on Sunday night. You better be real careful with your equipment and take care of those tires.
With drivers and this being an all-star race, do you think that that's one of those things that maybe don't matter to them as much for this particular race because it's an all-star race and there's no points on the line, or because it's North Wilkesboro and there's no points on the line, but hey, come on, it's North Wilkesboro. How do you think drivers will take that into consideration?
So far today, it seems like every driver who has been interviewed on that particular question has emphatically said, we're having fun racing at North Wilkesboro. Drivers who got out of their cars after the practice session, which took place from 4 until 5 p.m. Eastern time today. Corey LaJoie is one example. Kevin Harvick, a former series champion, is another example. One after another, when they were asked that question, the answer was, we are glad to be bringing back this tradition of racing at North Wilkesboro. And I think it means a lot to today's drivers just to get a chance to race there. There is, $1 million on the line for the winner Sunday night. So no points, but there's bragging rights, and there's a chance to say, you know what, this is a chance for us today, the current generation of racers, to bring back something that meant so much to the history of NASCAR. I think these drivers enjoy feeling that connection to the heritage of the sport, because today we don't go to a lot of tracks that date back that far. Yeah, maybe a Darlington, South Carolina, a Martinsville, Virginia. You get past that, and the list of tracks that go back to the late 40s, early 50s, it starts getting pretty short.
Hey, Kurt, would you mind hanging on for a couple of seconds? We've got to get to a break here for the top of the hour, but it was our fault getting late with you, so it's up to you. You want to hang on for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, happy to stick around.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, it'll be hour number 2, and we'll be right back with Kurt Becker. Y'all hang with us.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
How about Devontae Adams? Something that you sent to me not too long ago. Devontae Adams saying that he doesn't really know where he stands with the brass of the Las Vegas Raiders right now. Is time running out here with for the Raiders and Devontae Adams? What's going on? What are you thinking about that situation?
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Friday. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 73 with a calm wind at 2 miles per hour out of the north-northwest. Tomorrow morning, a mixture of some sun and slight fog with temps around 81. In the afternoon and evening, partly sunny and a temperature near 82. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
It's time for the 2023 Southern Lights Talent Event. We're looking for local artists, including singers, musicians, comedians, any family-friendly talent that wants to take their talent to the next level. $10,000 in cash, recording deals, Chipola scholarships, video specials, all going to talented people from all over the tri-state area. We're also looking for sponsors, people and businesses that want to support local artists and make an impact on their community. Auditions are going on right now, so check us out today at southernlights.cc.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. John, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida.
At Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, you can find all the necessary items for an unforgettable fishing experience. From pin rods and reels to the best hand-tied rigs in Florida, we have it all. With the help of our friendly and knowledgeable staff, you can be sure that you have the right gear to make that big catch. Come experience a great local bait and tackle shop located directly off 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach, located just 5 miles west of Pier Park.
You want a big-time sports show? Tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're live and local here.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
We need one more SEC team in there to shake things up.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 102.1 Mariana, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes, along with K-Man Rick and Bone Crushers with us on the ones and the twos. And we've got Kurt Becker on the line with us. He's with the Motor Racing Network. Kurt, I kind of wanted to ask you about your opinion on how do you think that the veterans are feeling, the veterans in NASCAR are feeling about the car of tomorrow or the next-gen car? Have they gotten used to it by now that we're a year and a half in?
I don't know that anybody's gotten real comfortable just yet in the car. And I will say this. I think the comfort level will go up as we move deeper into the season because we've already made our way through the first half of the regular season schedule. So what that means is at this point, we will be going back soon for the second time this year to some tracks or for the second time to similar layout tracks to what they've already raced on this year. Even though we've had a couple of drivers that, they've gone to victory lane on more than one occasion, I don't think anybody takes this car for granted. You still get conflicting reports, and it kind of depends on the weekend and how everybody's doing. It's like anything. If things go well for the weekend, they love the car, and if things don't go well, then they're kind of critical of the car. But I think the comfort level will go up here as we move deeper into the summer.
100%. Actually, me and my buddy Kyle were down there for Daytona. That was my first NASCAR race ever, and we were down there on pit road, so it was, one of a kind experience. But I wanted to ask you with the situation, not last week, but the week before, you had Ross Chastain and Noah Gragson kind of going at it there. Do Do drivers need an extra 30 seconds where they can't be fined, or should we have a little, maybe a mini boxing ring out there by pit road for after the race, and let these guys handle things in a mano-a-mano manner?
Well, you're talking to somebody here that's old enough to remember watching that infamous finish to the 1979 Daytona 500 when Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison crawled out of their cars after the wreck on the backstretch at Daytona and started trading haymakers. There's two schools of thought on it. I know there's always the school of thought that says drivers should always conduct themselves as gentlemen and remember that they are representing the sport. And then there's the other side of it that says, look, it's fun to see these drivers show some raw emotion once in a while. Sometimes race fans, myself included, are all over the map on this. Will complain that some drivers just don't have a lot of personality. They're too laid back. And then we'll turn around and complain when somebody throws a punch. So I think it just depends on your frame of reference. And the general rule, some of my colleagues, I asked that very question. And some of my colleagues at Motor Racing Network said, look, regardless of the timing, the reality is NASCAR is a major league sport. You've got television and radio that are paying a rights fee to be there, and under that line of thinking, have a right to approach quickly, and you've got to get your interviews before you go off the air after a race. You've got a certain time frame, as you guys know, that you're working within, and look, if organically, if somebody gets into a shoving match, just describe it as best as you can, and then make sure you give each driver involved a chance to tell his side of the story.
Hey, Kurt, I want to make 3 left-hand turns and come full circle back around to this North Wilkesboro again. I had another question for you. You did talk about how the track hadn't been resurfaced since, I believe, 1981. Is there any kind of dangers or any kind of hindrances that these next-gen cars with, the technology, the speeds that they can go now, that can, happen to the car, or anything racing on a track that's that old compared to, something, newer with technology?
I don't think there's any danger per se. I do think that there had been some concern because of the age of the pavement that perhaps track that old, with the pavement being literally 40 years old, there had been some concern, at least among some folks in the garage area and in the media center in recent weeks. Was there potential for the asphalt to come up, as they say? Would chunks of asphalt come loosened, and would you end up with potholes in the surface, and would you have to... Right, exactly. And then would you end up having to throw a red flag? Where do you go from there? All I can say is it seems like the reviews coming out of that first practice earlier today have been very positive. In fact, Kevin Harvick was one of the drivers who got out of the car and said, for all of the talk about how rough and abrasive and old and weathered and outdated this racing surface is, he said, really, it's not as bad as he expected after all of the chatter over the last few weeks. Kyle Busch said the same thing. I think Kyle complained early in the practice session that he couldn't get comfortable in the car. Later on in the practice session, he said, I'm getting kind of used to how this track plays, and he said, I think we'll be fine. So I think if there were any concerns, I think most of those concerns have been laid to rest at this point.
I guess they don't build them like they used to then.
Times do change, no doubt. Racetracks change, and the way they're built, race cars, it's an ever-evolving sport.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, and we're on the line right now with Kurt Becker with the Motor Racing Network. Kurt, give me an not an explanation, but kind of a breakdown for me how the Pit Crew Challenge is going to work and what comes from the Pit Crew Challenge.
In fact, the Pit Crew Challenge is underway as we speak at North Wilkesboro. So what you have is one at a time, each driver who is entered this weekend to compete at North Wilkesboro, they bring their car to the head of pit road. There's a NASCAR official standing by the car. When the NASCAR official gives the okay, the driver brings the car down the pit lane for a 4-tire and fuel pit stop. and each stop is timed. And so far, I've noticed the Hendrick Motorsports crews, as one might expect. I mean, they've got the money to hire the best in the business. They've been at the top of the leaderboard. I saw where Josh Berry, his crew, Chase Elliott, his crew, last I saw, they were the top two on the leaderboard. 13 seconds and change. If your listeners are wondering, well, how long does it take to change 4 tires and fuel a car? Little over 13 seconds for the ones right now at the top. And there are implications here for the rest of the weekend, because the results of the pit crew competition, they will determine starting spots for the heat races and the open race that are coming up leading into the main event on Sunday. So if you have a good stop, your crew does a good job, and you do a good job as the driver in this competition that's going on right now, depending on how quick you are at that pit stop, it affects where you get to start in some of the, let's say, preliminary events that'll take place tomorrow evening.
So it's a complete team effort. That's pretty neat.
And when it comes to...
It is.
Go ahead, Kurt.
No, you're fine. I was going to say you're absolutely right. And sometimes folks don't always, if you don't follow NASCAR and you think, well, it's one person in a race car going around the track, but you're right. There is a definite team aspect to it.
And that's one thing that I've noticed. You look at some individual sports or whatever, you can say NASCAR is an individual sport. Well, without the pit crew and the crew chief and the spotter, how would that NASCAR driver be looking? And then you go to golf, which is notorious for being an individual sport, but what would they be without their swing coach and their caddy? And so when we look at sports, even though if we want to look at them as individual, there's so many things that are going on behind the scenes, and without those behind the scenes, you don't really get the true look at it. And I wanted to ask you, when we're talking about these pit crews, who's been the best pit crew this year to this point that you've noticed?
I think one that has been particularly sharp week in and week out is the Trackhouse Racing crew for driver Ross Chastain. It seems like they have been right on the money throughout the course of the season thus far. I don't know. I've stepped away from the scoring monitor a time or two, and I don't think Ross has come down pit road yet for his attempt here in the challenge. I can tell you, among the all-star drivers that are already locked in to the main event, Chase Elliott and his crew right now, they are at the top of that particular leaderboard. And Austin Dillon, he and his group from Richard Childress Racing, they also had a good run. Overall, if you combine the drivers and teams that are already in the All-Star main event and the ones who have to go through the qualifying race, the Open, put them all together, Chase Elliott, his crew, they lead everybody 13.5 seconds. Next closest is Josh Berry. He's one of the Open drivers. His crew at 13.6. So it's been pretty competitive.
What is your confidence level, Kurt, in NASCAR, not having to go through a lockout like we see in other sports, dealing with the expiration of the charter that could be coming?
I'm sorry. I had but he broke up on me just for a minute. One more
it's
time.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. What is your confidence level in a charter getting done with NASCAR so that they don't have a lockout like you've seen in the NBA and in Major League Baseball and the NHL?
I will admit that is a question well above my pay grade, and I do not have a lot of insider knowledge or feel for how that may or may not go. I will say this, I'm optimistic given the overall history of the NASCAR Cup Series. I think that everybody will be able to sit down around the table and get it worked out as we move forward. We've been pretty fortunate in this sport. We've not had a lot of significant confrontations of that matter that have led to a work stoppage or suspension of a racing season, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of us are optimistic that they will continue to move in the right direction.
Great answer there, Kurt. And we'll put you on the spot here. Give me 3 or 4 drivers for this weekend that you think could come away with the win at North Wilkesboro.
I think that the two that stand out right now because of their performance in practice. If you're looking for a short run driver whose car is good for a lap or two, Kyle Larson had the quickest overall individual lap in that first practice today. William Byron, his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, he was better on the longer runs. If you put together, a run of 20, 30, 40 laps, that kind of thing. And one other driver I'm going to throw out there wasn't overwhelming in practice. I think he was 12th quickest overall, Joey Logano. Joey has maybe the best ability of anybody in the series to collect data, process it, and get ready for a new venue, a track that they've never raced on. He's the guy that won the inaugural Clash at the LA Coliseum. He's the driver that won the inaugural dirt race at Bristol. It seems like anytime the Cup Series goes into a new environment, new to these drivers in this era, and this race will qualify as such, I think he will adapt quickly to North Wilkesboro, and I would say Joey Logano could be a sleeper pick here this weekend.
Absolutely. Hey, Kurt, thanks so much for giving us some of your time on this beautiful Friday afternoon, and we look forward to the race, the All-Star race this weekend at North Wilkesboro.
Well, guys, thanks for making time for us. It's great to chat with you, and hope everybody enjoys the weekend.
Hey, you do the same. Thanks so much, Kurt.
Thanks, guys.
That is Kurt Becker. He's with the Motor Racing Network, and you can check that race out this weekend. As always, on Mondays, we go around the track with RJ Starcevic, and we'll get his thoughts and everything else that goes along with that for the All-Star race this weekend at North Wilkesboro. And, it's something that any of my NASCAR fans that have helped me get even more so intrigued into the sport, they're so excited about this, and for good reason, and it's a lot of fun, man.
I was going to say, a few weeks back we had, McGee on.
Yeah.
From Marty Ryan McGee. And he was talking about the North Wilkesboro track because I believe he said he kind of grew up like right in that neck of the woods when he was a young kid.
Yeah.
And that it was a big deal that this race was coming up here shortly. So I'm sure he'll be tuned in and he'll be checking it out too. Yeah. Or he might even be there too for ESPN.
He very well could be there. He definitely does cover NASCAR. And he was one of the first people after, because I was watching Ross Chastain punch Noah Gragson live. I was watching that live, and he was one of the first people with a check mark on Twitter. I don't know if that's even really a thing these days.
Make sure it's authentic.
Yeah. But he was one of the first people to be commenting there and retweeting and all of that stuff. So that was a lot of fun. That was a very fun interview.
That guy's in the know, too. He's got a good enough reputation
100%.
that if he puts something out there, you can pretty much take it to the bank.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about NASCAR, and the cool thing about asking Kurt, what do you think here? Should drivers get 30 seconds and no fines come from what happens in those first 30 seconds that come from an interaction with a driver that you've had a spat with or whatever? Should they have like a little mini boxing ring out there and let them, go 2 rounds or so? I don't know. There's so many opinions on that, but like Kurt said, it's nice sometimes. I think it's nice all the time, honestly, to see the person that you're cheering for and actually see the person that they are, not the person that you think they are.
Yeah, no doubt. You want to know, who they are. Especially, you really get to know people when they're like in times of stress.
Yeah,
that's usually when you can tell if somebody's pretty much under calm, collective thoughts. Then that person is normally has that frame of mind, and if you see somebody wigging out and pulling their hair out, then they're probably pretty frantic and neurotic, most of the time. So,
well, we need to take a look at what's going on in the world of college softball for the regionals right now. But Jim Brown, football great, dying at the age of 87. So thoughts and prayers there with the family of Jim Brown.
Pretty sad day for football.
Yeah.
Gotta say. I mean, that guy, arguably, probably a lot of people could say the greatest football player ever. I mean, I know a lot of people like to talk quarterbacks because it's the more glamorous, kind of flashy position. But when that guy was, running with the football, I mean, he was taking out linebackers. They weren't taking him out. He was running those guys over. And, good
and he
for
was
him.
doing it with a 2-bar face mask.
And I mean, and good for him. He got out when he was ready to get out, and he did movies and stuff instead, like with Bruce Lee and whatnot. So, I mean, good for him. The guy, ended up having a pretty good, fulfilling life, it seems like. So, sad day, like I said, for football.
Would you be surprised if I told you that the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes have skipped practice?
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah,
I mean, like you played.
You played 2 games last night.
2.5 games last night. Yeah. I mean, I remember going
wild.
back against the Philadelphia Flyers Penguins game. I mean, our goaltender, Brian Boucher at the time.
Yeah.
I believe he lost I think it was like 14 or 16 pounds. Of course, it's all water weight, from sweating or something ridiculous like that. And in a game like that, people don't realize when they go into the intermissions, these guys, a normal hockey game is 3 periods. So they're, ready and their bodies are ready for that. You start getting hungry and the concession stands at these arenas, they stop selling food at certain times. And because of, people staying there longer, they run out of food. And I remember them actually in Philadelphia having to call outside of the stadium to get pizzas delivered so that the guys could have something to eat during the intermission.
That is absolutely wild. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and Bone Crusher. We're going to take a quick time out. When we return, we're going to dive into a whole bunch of more sports, man, and talk a little bit more about the Mariners and the Braves and what else is going on in the world of Major League Baseball. Keep it locked into ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Here comes the Thunder.
The Atlanta Braves are back home at Truist Park for a long homestand. Tonight, the Braves take on the Seattle Mariners. Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, Ronald Acuna, and the Braves are bringing out the heavy lumber.
That ball is going to be out of here.
Coverage starts at 6, first pitch 6:20 on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Friday. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 73 with a calm wind at 2 miles per hour out of the north-northwest. Tomorrow morning, a mixture of some sun and slight fog with temps around 81. In the afternoon and evening, partly sunny and a temperature near 82. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
He likes to idle his Kia while eating almonds and listening to Lincoln Park in the Walgreens parking lot.
White people love trail mix.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, they love it. Love it. Eat it every day.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
They love it.
And we are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and Bone Crusher. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. It's 104.3 in Panama City, 102.1 Marietta, 101.9 Port St. Joe. We're also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, all at ESPN Northwest Florida. For those of you in Marietta, if you notice that your signal hasn't been as strong lately, well, you could just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple App Store. For those of you listening on 104.3, 101.9. If you got friends in that Mariana area, then you just tell them, grab the app, man. Go to the Google Play Store, go to the Apple App Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, and you can take us with you wherever it is that you go. Last night, man, 2 games in a row where I've been thoroughly intrigued with the NBA. The Nuggets and the Lakers, man. It was one of those games where, you know, obviously you've got so much star power there with Nikola Jokic and with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray was that centerpiece for the Nuggets last night, and they take that 2-0 lead in the series.
Well, it wasn't even the whole game. It was like towards the end for Murray.
No, 100. It was the fourth quarter. Yeah. It was the fourth quarter in general. But the thing is now with the Nuggets that anytime that they've gone up 2-0 in a series, 6 times out of 7, and maybe this is up to a certain time, but 6 times out of 7, they've come away with the series win. So good things looking up for the Nuggets. What do you think, Caveman Rick, of the game last night, and then what the Lakers need to do moving forward?
It's hard for me to say. All right, you got the Nuggets who, well, I mean, look at their history. They really haven't done nothing their whole history. So you want to say that, you know, by being up 2-0, they should be able to close out this series. Unfortunately, with history being what it is and them not having done it in their history, LeBron, he's been down 0-2 at least a couple times, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely been down 3-1, right?
Right. So, I know he's been down. I've seen some stats. So I know he's been down 0-2 a few times in his career. Don't know exactly how many. And he's been able to come back. With him being able to come back in his track record, you obviously can't count out the Nuggets.
Right.
But, I mean, even when Jokic, like last night, has what you would call a bad game for the guy.
Just 23, 17,
he still has a triple-double, right?
Right.
So, I mean, like, that's not a bad game. I mean, in his standards, it is. So, if he can even have a bad game and they can still put up points and they can be, you know, up in the series 2-0, I mean, it doesn't really look good for the Lakers, you know, at all. They still need guys like Jamal Murray to show up. I mean, if I was L.A., maybe you just single team Jokic. You let him get his 45 or 50 and then just hope nobody else really does a whole lot. And then you come away with the win.
And that was one thing that I really noticed from the Lakers last night is how much, you know, emphasis and rightly so that they were putting on Nikola Jokic, and then Jamal Murray just, you know, kind of comes like a bat out of hell, you know, and just was shooting lights out specifically there in the fourth quarter. And the Lakers just had no answer. I mean, their answers came very quickly. Look down the stretch, right? Austin Reeves putting up that bank 3 shot, you know what I mean? Getting them back into the game. LeBron James going down the floor quickly, but there was no answer for the methodology. I don't know which way we should go with that, but the pace of play that the Denver Nuggets were utilizing.
And the Lakers just looked defeated. You could see it in AD and LeBron's faces.
And that's on LeBron until like into the game for me is when it was like, all right, LeBron's finally waving the white flag.
And I think when you can see that on a player's face and they're showing, you know, their emotions, you know, like on their sleeve, if you will, that does a lot for your team. Like if I was, you know, the Nuggets and seeing that, you know, that's when you go in for the kill. And like I said, being up 2-0 now, all they got to do really is just win one more, you know, in the next couple games, and you got to pretty much, you know, say this series is pretty much done.
Yeah, absolutely. But just like the Denver Nuggets 1-2 at the house, you could very well see the Lakers and how strong they were towards the tail end of these games, and that's got to be the difference, right? You can't play catch up for 48 minutes.
Yeah, but LeBron, I mean, he's up in age. He did tweak the ankle again.
Yes, he did. So, and they scored. That's the same bucket where Austin Reeves had the bank shot when LeBron James was on the opposite end of the floor writhing in pain, and it was like one of those ones that had he not made that shot and the possession continues, I could very well see the LA Lakers taking a timeout to get LeBron off the floor there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, was he really writhing in pain? I don't know. I mean, sure, like it
did
probably
he
hurt
act
a little
like
bit.
He was writhing in pain?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. So, you know, how much pain was really there? Because I mean, he still played pretty well. He was out there running around like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So either the adrenaline took over, or he was just putting on a show like he normally does. I mean, it is LA, right? So, but again, like I said, with the age and the ankle, it's not looking good for LeBron and the Lakers. Let's put it that way.
And tonight, you're going to have game 2 of the Heat and the Celtics. And Boston tonight is a 10-point favorite. Do you see the Boston Celtics taking game 2 and winning by more than 10 points?
Probably not. If they end up winning the game, I would say it's probably within that 10 points. I mean, the way, the Heat came out and played in game 1, you got Tatum. We had this talk last Friday. We were talking, is a guy a superstar? I say no. I think you got to be top 10 to basically be a superstar. So if you're going to put him in, you got to pull somebody out. I don't see it just yet with him. Now, like I said in our chat, if Celtics go on and win, then hey, yeah, put him up in there and take somebody out. Then it's well deserved, especially with that crew that they have, where they don't only have a bona fide number one.
Right.
So, but then, after beating, the Sixers, who basically, gave up, and he had that historic game. I don't know how historic you want to, put it up there in the pantheon of accomplishments when basically the team that you're playing against is handing you those points and giving it away to you. And then he comes out and lays an egg basically in the first game of this series. So right now, the way things are looking, I'd say you got to give it to the Heat. I mean, Butler, regular season, the guy's kind of like just an average player. Come playoff time, and the guy's just a beast. He's
one of those ones that he can actually flip that switch, and you can see him flipping the switch. And normally on Fridays we have a Boston Celtics fan in the building with us in AG, but today he is spending his time with his wife Carla, and they are celebrating their anniversary. Absolutely, happy anniversary, AG and Carla. We appreciate all that you guys do for us around this way.
When he called in to chime in, he wasn't sounding too much of a fan.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to get too much into AG, but it's like he always pulls for his guys, and there's only one guy that I can think of. Like, he's a Louisville fan. He's a Cincinnati Reds fan. He can be quite brash and honest about his Cincinnati Reds, but when it comes to Jason Tatum, he's on the opposite side of the fence of what he is when it's with Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson, he holds to this high standard, and rightly so. Lamar Jackson
Lamar went to Louisville. Tatum went to Duke.
100%. Right. No, 100%. And he could have all of that, but Tatum plays for his team.
Right.
The Boston Celtics. Lamar Jackson, a Louisville guy, no doubt, plays for a division rival, and he holds them, he holds Lamar to that standard, but then he also goes on that same cuff, and I love you to death, AG, but calls Justin Herbert overrated. And that's just where I'm like, hey,
everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Boom. And that is the beauty of sports. And sports would not, I would not love this arena the way that I do without fans being able to express how they feel without anyone coming back at them. That's why sometimes I question, I'm in these Facebook groups or whatever, and people put outlandish stuff in there all the time, and people take the time to chat back or clap back, if you will, and get so upset about another fan's thoughts on the team. And I'm just like, dude, it is what it is, man. Like, he's watching the same stuff we're watching, or he's reading the same stuff that we're reading, so he's 100% entitled to his own opinion.
Well, back to the whole Tatum thing too. I think the one thing that he's lacking in his game or in his personality, and this might haunt him his whole career, I don't think he's got a whole lot of alpha dog in him.
Yeah,
he doesn't have that fight. Maybe his life was too easy. I don't know too much about him, but I believe his mom was a lawyer. Like I said, he went to Duke, so I don't think he's had a rough life. Maybe as a child he's had it a little bit easier than some people out there, so maybe he hasn't had to work or fight as hard for things in his life. So out there in the court, maybe he just doesn't have that mentality, because
that dog in him.
Yeah, like a Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and Jimmy's got that dog.
So that's probably one thing that that the Celtics actually are kind of lacking, and if they have maybe that dog, that might be able to help them out.
That's where I'm drawing this line, kind of, because it's like you look at the Celtics, and we're talking about the Celtics and the Heat for the third time in the last 4 years are playing in the Eastern Conference Finals.
The same four teams over in the bubble a few years ago, too, in this Final
2020.
Four. Yeah.
So they've got to be doing something right. And then
Well, East is really weak, too. I mean, that's an indictment on the Eastern
before
Conference.
The trade deadline, though? And you know what I mean, though? Were we really saying that before the trade deadline, and can we defend definitively say that the West is better because everyone claimed the West is better now. Why? Because Kevin Durant
more
and Kyrie
stars.
Irving. But before that, it was the East, though. For the last 2 years, it's kind of been the East. And then Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant go back to the West from the East, from Brooklyn there.
Yeah, I'd still say the West had more star power, though, with
and
LeBron,
I will give you that,
AD.
but I don't think that the media was calling it that the West had more star power or any of that.
Well, you always have East
until
Coast bias.
KD and Kyrie came.
You always have the East Coast
And I
bias.
love it,
that's
man.
gonna
We're on
kill
the
a lot
East
of stuff.
Coast.
And I love it, too. I mean, I've spent like my whole life East Coast and for a little bit of time in the Midwest. So, yeah, I'm down with the East Coast bias. And, more eyeballs are watching games on the East Coast due to, time constraints and, when stuff's on. So, that's totally understandable.
And with Jason Tatum and the Celtics, like, my biggest thing is, look, there was a whole argument with Jason Tatum, superstar or not superstar. And again, regardless of what he does in this series, that's still up in the air. You know what I mean? But for me, it was like, well, look what he did in Game 6. Look what he did in Game 7. So he's obviously on that right track. So
but no
why would I count?
consistency.
And I'm with you on that, and I'm fine on that. I'm saying, why would I, someone who's trying to hold him to that superstar regard, why would I count him out after the first game? You know what I mean?
No, I feel you.
Like, there's still a lot of cake to be baked, if you will.
They've had a good season. They played all year. He's been a gamer. He's not the kind of guy that wants to take games off load management. He wants to be there, but like he needs to want to be the guy. He needs to be the guy that wants to take that last final shot. We didn't see that in the last game. Towards the end, it almost looking like he wasn't wanting the ball, almost like afraid to have that shot and to be the guy. And if you want to win a championship, you can't do that. You gotta go out there and want to take it.
Yeah, so I think that I've got the Celtics winning tonight and evening the series, but I do not like the Celtics to win by 10 though. Just because they could be up for 20 points the entire game, but I think that Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat will fight their way back there and find themselves within 10
and
by the time that it's all said and done.
Watch it be a blowout.
Exactly.
It'd be like a 26-point win by the Celtics, and then Tatum goes off for like 45, and then we look like a bunch of dopes come Monday morning because we say this today.
Exactly. But I mean, how often does that happen? Like, things just go the direct opposite of what you're thinking.
That's how they seem to operate. The games that you think they should win, they end up losing, and the games that you think they're going to lose, they end up winning. So like I said, no consistency there. Maybe it's got something to do with Missoula being there, and having a first-year coach. I don't know.
Well, and Spo never gets the credit, right? But look at where the Heat have been since they've hired Spoelstra to be the coach over there for the Miami Heat. And then you look at Missoula, and it's like you're doing you're not doing anything special right now. Udoka did that same exact thing before you were hired.
Yeah, but Spoelstra, look at he's the protege of Patrick Riley. So Missoula, he's not coming from anything like that.
Yeah, no.
Brad Stevens, good guy, front office, don't want to, knock him there or whatever, but he doesn't have the clout like a Patrick Riley. Patrick Riley can't walk into a room and just open up a bag and throw down like 5-6 championship rings and say, here you go, and, the proof's in the pudding right there.
The proof is definitely in the pudding. Speaking of pudding, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, and we're going to give you the Braves update that is brought to you by The Break Room. The special today is air fried chicken. On the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, you get wings for just $1. So, how many ever wings you want. It's $1 per wing. And Monday through Friday, you've got your specials there, and your specials run for just $12, and you get a drink and a side. Caveman Rick, tell me where the Break Room is located.
Well, the Break Room is located on the corner of North Lagoon and Joan. It's in the building that used to be Nick's, and as well as used to be Vic's Sports Bar, and used to be the Purple Turtle back in the 90s.
And I love it, man. And also, man, Chef Ross, you've had plenty of his food.
Great guy, friend of the station.
This stuff is fantastic. The Braves were off last night, but tonight they're hosting the Seattle Mariners, and you're going to be seeing Bryce Miller go for the Seattle Mariners, who's 2-0 with an ERA of 0.47, going up against our very own Bryce Elder, who's 3-0 with an ERA of 1.94. We'll see how that goes. The Atlanta Braves tonight are a favorite minus 160 there, and the over-under sitting at 8.5. How's things looking for your Phillies?
Still not so great. I'm still, what are we, about 6 games behind you guys, I think, last time I looked. After you guys were off last night.
Yeah, we were off last night. So right now,
6 games,
the Braves are 4.5 games ahead of the Marlins, who are in second place there with the record of 23-21. Very impressive for the Marlins. And then you've got the Mets in second place, who are 6 games behind the Braves, and then the Phillies, who are 20-23, are 7 games behind the Bravos.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, we got work to do. We're kind of where I expected the way the season started. Bringing Harper back, though, I mean, it's looking all right. His first game, he didn't do so great. He's had some home runs since he's come back into the lineup. I think he can only get better. Just needs some time. We just need to get our pitching, worked out. If we can ever, get into a game where we can actually, put up some runs without giving up so many, or in these close games, is what's killing us. Not being able to get over the hump and get enough runs in that damn bullpen, just giving them away.
Dude, the American League East right now, all teams over 500. In last place in that division right now, the Boston Red Sox. All 5 teams have a positive run differential. You look at the Central, only one team there has a positive run differential, and the Minnesota Twins, who are 24-20 with a run differential of plus 42 runs. Very impressive run that they've been on, as well as beating the Dodgers. So it's not like they're just beating.
I wonder how much scheduling's got to do with a lot of those numbers, because it seemed like, the start of this year, some teams were having the benefit of playing a lot of home games, and earlier on, and that's obviously going to help out your run differential and your numbers. I think that was also helping out Tampa a bunch.
Tampa and Atlanta. You can't just look at the team's first 30, 35, 36 games, and be like, well, it is what it is. They beat the teams they were supposed to and all of that good stuff. We're in a different world now because every team plays every single team.
And then the addition of the extra wild card, you got more chances to actually get in later on in the season.
And the last division we'll look at here with the American League in the West, all 4 teams that are within reach, because I'm counting out the Oakland Athletics there. They've got a negative run differential of minus 161, whereas all 4 other teams in that division have a positive run differential. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll get back with our local high school sports spotlight brought to you by Barbaritos, and we'll catch up with Ryan Burridge.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the sports talk monster on the Gulf Coast. Let's go! Destin, Panama City, and Mexico Beach. Listen on 104.3. In the Mariana, Chipley, and Bonifay area, hear us on 102.1.
Swing line drive, left center field, that ball is down!
And now, Fort St. Joe, Apalachicola, and Weewa. It's 101.9. We have Northwest Florida covered. It's ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
You know the break room for the best pool tables in Bay County. But did you know they now serve delicious food? Check out the break room's daily lunch and dinner specials like spaghetti and meatballs, meatloaf with mashed potatoes, air-fried chicken, and more. Plus the best burgers, hot dogs, and you gotta try the Sammy of the day. The break room on Panama City Beach at the corner of Joan Avenue and North Lagoon. For more information, check them out on Facebook.
Chef Ross here. We're open daily at 11 at the break room.
The Braves are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they're showing the National League that they are a force to be reckoned with.
2-2 pitch. And there's a bullet out to center field. Down for a base hit. Here comes Eddie. Braves win it!
Tonight, Ronald Acuna and the Braves are back home for a big homestand, starting with the Seattle Mariners at Truist Park.
Coverage starts tonight at 6, right after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch at 6:20 on your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and Bone Crushers riding along with us. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. It's 850-215-6290 is the number to call or text. Atlanta Braves coming up right after the Afternoon Underdogs. Coverage starting at 6. First pitch tonight at 6:20 against the Seattle Mariners. That should be a great one. Arnold last night, tough night for them. Their season ends with a 14-3 loss against Wakulla. And Chipley, though, they did bring home the state championship after a big win against Lafayette 10-1 yesterday. So good, congratulations
Chipley.
there.
Yeah, good job.
Congratulations to Chipley. And we're going to be having Ryan Burridge on the line with us here not too long from now, but
that's a wealth of baseball around
yeah,
here.
no doubt. And then also, you have tomorrow at the Public Sports Park from 9 to noon. If you need any sporting equipment and you're in need, they've got you covered. Just go out to the Public Sports Park tomorrow, and they're going to be doing a giveaway. It's a first-come, first-served basis, but it's from 9 to 12. And they also have a little perfect game tournament going on tomorrow.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So hopefully they got a good variety of stuff. I mean, in our area, like I said, we got a wealth of baseball, talent here. Football does pretty well. I'd be interested to see if they had anything else out there like tennis or golf or, something like pickleball that our friend Miles plays, something that's kind of new. That's the fad kind of nowadays.
Yeah, they've got a lot of equipment. They've been gathering things for the last month or so, maybe even longer than that. So they've got a lot of equipment. So for those of you who are in need and your child or a child that needs some sporting equipment, go out to the Public Sports Park tomorrow from 9 to 12 and grab what you need, man. It's first come, first serve. Now on the line with us, we've got Ryan Burridge, who just had a men's, is it bodybuilding, Ryan?
Yeah, it's considered bodybuilding. Yeah, it was men's physique is the category that I was in.
Yeah, men's physique. So my guy who
so it's like Mr. Universe kind of thing?
Yes, kind of. Yeah, just at a very small amateur level.
Okay.
Hey, it's a very cool level, though. And Ryan, I actually met from playing softball and then kind of following his Facebook and everything. And I see that he's winning competitions, winning this competition. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, man, let's get him on the air and let's talk about it. So Ryan, in men's physique, came in first in true novice, which means that he's never competed before. He's also first in the men's open class, which means that all physique guys, no matter the size or height, and he also came in third overall out of every man in the competition. So Ryan, explain to us a little bit about what got you into bodybuilding or physique building.
Man, it's actually a really long story. I started this about 12 years ago. I was in the military for a long time. I was a very skinny guy. And I just really decided at the end, finally I just got to a point where, I was like, okay, God made me short, but he didn't make me small. And I was kind of tired of being picked on, kind of tired of being the little guy everywhere I went. And so I started bodybuilding, and I absolutely fell in love with it. At first it was just a fitness lifestyle that I wanted to make a change for myself. And then I started seeing some pretty awesome results, stayed very natural, just ate right and had a lot of fun with it. And then after, about 10 years, I did a few powerlifting competitions, and I loved that. But I'm getting a little bit older, and so I really wanted to try to, see if I could take it to the next level. And the next level for me would be to get on stage and do some type of bodybuilding show. And I talked to a guy. He's an IFBB pro. His name's Chris McMillan. He's just an absolutely phenomenal coach here in Panama City. I met him at Wellness and Fitness. Talked to him, and he decided to take me on as a client. And I've got about 6 years as a personal trainer, and I'm ISSA state certified as a personal trainer here in town. But he took me to the next level, and we just ran with it. And then about 12 weeks of prep, which was pure hell. Got on stage. I was scared. I was nervous. But we freaking did it, man. We did our thing. There was 33 guys in the competition. And like you said earlier about how I placed and stuff. It pretty incredible. So it's been about a 12-year journey up until that stage point.
And on that journey, it was the hardest part, like just continuing to stay in the gym, or is it more so dealing with the diet?
I would say diet is key, absolutely. If you want to gain, you want to lose weight, you want to do anything like that. But for me, the hardest part for this fitness journey to get on stage, it was the cardio. I hadn't done much cardio. I've done a lot of strength training. I've done a lot of weightlifting, if that makes sense. And so to have to get on to a treadmill or to get onto a stair stepper, it was hard for me because I didn't do a lot of that. So for me, the hardest part was being at the gym at 5 a.m., doing 45 minutes on the stairs at a high level, and then going back 7 or 8 hours later, doing another 45 minutes, and then having to work out for an hour and 15 minutes after that, plus an extremely strict diet to get me to about 5% body fat when I got on stage.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Were you prepared when you wanted to get into this? Did your body look like you were a physique builder or a bodybuilder?
No. I was at about 12% body fat. I looked good. I had my abs were there. My back was okay. Traps were good. My biceps, triceps, they were there. But I had a lot of work that I had to do. I had no clue what I was doing when it came to basically trying to get in shape for a bodybuilding show. I had no idea. And so it was an eye-opener for me because I thought I was there, and then I realized what I had to do to get there, and I was like, oh, God, I'm mountains away from anything that I need to be close to this. And so it was very hard to understand that I've been doing this for 12 years. I'm like, oh, I got this, I can handle it, and then realizing I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to getting on stage.
This is Caveman Rick. I got a question for you. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe you got an answer. I don't know if this is even true what I'm saying, but it seems back when I was younger, a lot of like these Mr. Universe type guys, like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and like a Lou Ferrigno, got into acting and had big time roles where they were pretty famous. I haven't seen or I can't recall of any like big name bodybuilder physique kind of people like in movies and TV and stuff in the recent this millennium pretty much. Am I wrong, or is there anybody out there that you can tell us about or kind of?
There's a couple guys that they're making their way into it. They haven't done. They're still wanting to compete on stage. They're still wanting to do the bodybuilding thing, and they're not really. There's not a lot of guys that are honestly making their way into the movie scene as much as I've seen, like you said in the past. I mean, my idol was Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was the number one guy. My parents put me in martial arts when I was very little. I got my black belt when I was 16 years old. I fought professionally for about 7 years, and I loved all of that, and he was the guy that I wanted to be. And then when I got into bodybuilding, it was I wanted to look like him. You know what I mean? But no, not really. I've not seen a lot of guys come from the bodybuilding world to the movie scene in the last 15 years, honestly.
Wow, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with local physique champion here, Ryan Burridge. Ryan, I'm sure that you got some shout-outs, man, and so while you're on the air here, go ahead with them.
Yeah, I got to give all the credit to my coach, Chris McMillan, and then to MaxFit in Panama City Beach.
Shout out Jason Kovaleski.
Yes, that's my boy. Yeah, so I just started on for them. I'm going to be a venue booth runner for them. I'm going to start doing a lot of stuff for them and getting a lot of their merchandise out to the public. I'm very excited for that opportunity for them. They're absolutely amazing. Any supplements, everything you need from weight loss to weight gain to just maintaining to just wanting to be just a better overall, person. They have everything that you might need. So huge shout out to them. And then, like I said, Chris McMillan, he's the man. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you can look him up on Facebook. His name is C Mac on Instagram. The dude is just, he's amazing.
So Max Fit thing you're doing, so that'd be something like a brand ambassador or something like that?
Exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm going to be working for them just part-time. I've got another full-time job, but I'm going to come on with them full-time and just really get their brand put out and try to get they got just opened up a new store right next to Granny Can Trails.
Yes,
they're
sir.
only right next door. And so I'll be working in that store with them very closely, learning, and they're going to get me nutritional certified so I can really start making some really, really strong diet plans for people and things like that. And just take this fitness thing to the absolute next level.
So with you doing that as a part-time job, does that eliminate what you do with nope ropes?
With who?
Nope ropes, snakes.
Oh, no, man, you call me and I got you. You give me a call and I'll come pick up.
Yeah,
I'll come get any steak you need.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Burridge here, he's live with us, and we're talking about, his quest in bodybuilding and how great he did at his last event, coming in third overall, but also winning multiple other categories. But also, Ryan, has a, I want to say fascination.
Is he a herpetologist?
I don't know if he's.
Yes,
You
what I went
are.
to college for. So, yes, sir. Yep.
So he is a
There you
herpetologist.
go.
I didn't want to take away or add to there, but so if you have snakes in your vicinity or something that you need looked at, Ryan Burridge is a great person to call. I see him all the time. It's no joke, all the time on Facebook, especially when you get to these warm summer months. And I got me a cottonmouth here. I got a moccasin there, and I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you, bro?
Man, I love the animals. I got a mad respect for them, and I'd much rather go hands-on with them than to see somebody take their life and kill them, cut them cut them up with a shovel. I can't stand that. I think that all animals that God created to be put on this earth deserve a chance to survive, whether they're scary or not. So yeah, give me a call, shoot me some pictures, and if it's a venomous reptile, I'll come catch it. I relocate them for free, and I send them off and let them live their life.
Yeah, so you guys can do that by just texting Ryan Burridge to 850-215-6290, or you can find Ryan on Facebook, and he will absolutely take care of you. So Ryan, what's next here on the journey? What is the next stop on the quest?
So we're going for broke. I'm going to compete again October 7th. It's going to be NPC Muscle for Heart. It is going to be ran by an amazing producer. His name is Victor Sellers and his wife, Kimmy Sellers. They're phenomenal at what they do. They're putting on another amazing bodybuilding show at the Arnold High School, where I just competed at. So we're going to be making another run for it. I'm going to try to go for that overall title this time instead of third place. It'll be October 7th. It's called Muscle for Heart.
I love that. Ryan, thanks so much for giving us some of your time, and good luck on the next adventures, and shout out to the wife and kids, man. Hopefully everyone gets well and you keep on competing at a high level.
Man, I appreciate y'all. This was an awesome experience. I appreciate y'all letting me come on here, and I'll definitely keep you guys posted as we make it through this next 5 months to this next show.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, man. Take care, buddy.
You too, bub. We'll see you.
Be careful with them snakes.
That's Ryan Burridge, who not only is a physique champion, but also now, a herpetologist, who I didn't know that he actually was, just knew that he was good about helping out friends and family and stuff, not just identifying, but also relocating those snakes
like you
to
said at the start,
a better environment.
United States veteran as well.
Yes, yeah, and that should never be overlooked. The tournament that we were able to play today over there at Bay Point was for Indus, which is for the Warrior Beach Retreat, and just playing for veterans, doing anything for a charity for veterans. It's a very sad reality that we live in, that these guys go put their lives on the line for us, and then when they return back, most of them find themselves, I don't want to say most of them, that's a wrong choice of words. Some of them find themselves in less than ideal situations and on the streets, and it's an absolute shame, when they're putting their life on the line for us to continue our freedoms. And when you think about it in that sense, it's just like,
especially with next weekend coming up as well, being Memorial Day, just something to think about in the next week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to have a jam-packed week for you guys. Of course, we're going to have a lot of Braves games. We're going to be back out there at Dave & Buster's on Wednesday. Hopefully we, actually get sports movies and sports video games ranked. And I would like to see those ranked before we actually get in so that we can just get behind all of the behind the scenes.
No doubt. Get some voting done,
yeah,
too.
Get some voting done, man. But it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of work, and it would not happen. We wouldn't do this if we didn't think that it was a lot of fun. Again, man, just it's going to be a jam-packed week next week. We've got the Women's College World Series. The regionals are kicking off right now, and a lot of softball is going to be played over the weekend. You've got the PGA Championship going
NBA
on right now. I was playing golf all week.
NHL playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. I was playing golf all day today, and I couldn't even tell you who's leading the PGA Championship right
I saw
now.
Scotty Scheffler was leading earlier, but that was 1 o'clock today, so I don't know where he's at. Now.
Goodness gracious, he shot a bogey-free 3 under yesterday, and that rough, man. They had a little bit of rough over there at Bay Point today, but it ain't nothing like at the Oak Hill golf course that's hosting the PGA Championship right now. Y'all have a great weekend. Everyone stay safe out there. You've got Jeep Jam going on this weekend. The Coach James Hell Show is going to be live with you Monday at 7 a.m., run until 9 a.m. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey, Jay Henley will be back Monday. I believe Brian Haddad's going to be hosting that. I might or might not be in there. And then the Afternoon Underdogs back at 4. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll be back later.
This Memorial Day, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida honors our local heroes. A Panama City native, United States Air Force Senior Master Sergeant Sherry Lynn Olds served 20 years and died in the 1998 embassy bombing in Nairobi, Africa.